Okay. Dear friends, good morning and a warm welcome to Zagreb, to the Croatian National and University Library. We are very pleased to host you and honored at the beginning of the Croatian Presidency of the Council of the European Union. I greet and welcome Ursula von der Leyen and the entire College of the European Commission, as well as all the members of the Croatian government who are here today. At the outset of our meeting, we would like to show you an official video of the Croatian Presidency of the Council, and then we will start with the introductory remarks by myself and Ursula, and after my remarks and a few initial comments by Ursula, I would kindly ask the media to leave us for the in-camera meeting after that. If I could ask my colleagues to let the video be shown, please.
Sjećam se podijeljene Europe i Hrvatske same na grubom moru. Ali vratili smo se kući i naš put tek počinje.
Svima će nam trebati brodovi kada more naraste do tu. Ali ja imam plan kako pomoći ljudima. Znate, kao Nikola Tesla.
Svaki izazov je prilika. Da bismo bili spremni za budućnost, trebamo tehnologiju i inovacije i tim koji ideje pretvara u stvarnost. No početak svega je ljubav.
Nakon studija vratili smo se ovdje na Didov vinograd. Podigli smo obitelj i lijepo nam. Ostali smo na djedovini, ali povezani s cijelim svijetom. I u igri, i u poslu.
Povezati se s pravim partnerima pomaže u postizanju ciljeva.
Posebno kad stremiš vrhu svijeta.
Pomažemo jedni drugima.
Zajedno smo sigurniji.
Ove ruke grade brodove. Ali mi stvaramo i umjetnost, nadahnuti različitošću. Stvarajući, otkrivamo tko smo ili tko nismo. U Europskoj uniji svi smo povezani.
Baš poput naše kravate koja je osvojila svijet.
Kada zajedno igramo, zajedno pobjeđujemo.
I slavimo poput obitelji.
Mi smo Hrvatska. Mi smo Europa. Snažna Europa u svijetu punom izazova.
Well, I just wondered while watching this official film, should I have the introductory speech or not? Because all the key messages of our political priorities in our presidency are actually included in this film that a little bit explains our historical context, our evolution, our ambitions, and our desire to, by working with all of you, creating stronger and better Europe for our citizens and our countries. Madam President, Vice Presidents, Commissioners, dear colleagues, I think that this meeting of the College and the Croatian government is not only a historic one, but it should create a conducive atmosphere for our relationship in the next 6 months in various formations of the Council, in working jointly on various legislative dossiers, in our political consultations, because the challenges ahead of us at the beginning of the institutional and legislative cycle are really many. We have worked on our priorities by looking carefully at the strategic agenda adopted by the European Council in June, by fully absorbing the agenda for Europe that you, Ursula, have presented to the European Parliament, for which you gained really a substantial and overwhelming support of the majority in the European Parliament. And we wanted to fit with our priorities in the general line of the activities of the European Union. That's why our motto, as you have seen, has been a strong Europe in a world of challenges. We have divided our priorities into 4 pillars: a Europe that develops, a Europe that connects, Europe that protects, and influential Europe. When we speak about the Europe that develops, our first priority is to advocate for a balanced, sustainable, and inclusive development and competitive European Union that takes into consideration the state of play in every single member state, in every single region, and most of all, takes into account the desires and ambitions of our citizens. We have put forward one item which is important for Croatia, and that is the demographic challenges. We know it is not a unique issue for Croatia. It is something that literally half of the EU member states face. That's why we are very pleased that Dubravka has this portfolio in your commission. I think it's a novelty, and we know that with the work ahead of you, I think we can come up with the kit of tools proved to be efficient in those member states who have addressed the issue of demographic revitalization adequately, and help us a little bit to see how the depopulation from rural or movement to urban areas, or from less developed to more developed member states, can be jointly addressed. Also within this priority, we want to support your efforts on the European Green Deal and the very ambitious legislative agenda which you have put forward. I said yesterday, not in your first 100 days, but literally within your first 10 days. You are setting the new standards which will be very difficult to match for any executive institution. A second priority, Europe that connects, is an area where we want to promote more cooperation in transport, in energy, in digital activity, in use of new technologies, in going in the line with the trends of the fourth industrial revolution. We also encourage all those policies which are closer to citizens through culture, education, sports. You have seen in the film that Croatian city of Rijeka will be the European capital of culture. It is an important coincidence, but it is also a convergence of our ambitions and our presentation to the Europe during this year, and therefore I'm sure you all enjoyed the concert yesterday in the Croatian National Theatre. Europe that protects is one of those topics that has become extremely important over the last couple of years. Both internally and externally, we have faced terrorist attacks, we have faced the challenges of illegal migration, we have seen attacks on our digital infrastructure, by hybrid threats, by influencing from outside on the democratic processes. That's why I think we need to strengthen the concept of the rule of law and work together how to ensure that our citizens are safe and well off within the European Union. A fourth topic is an influential Europe, something that we will discuss immediately as the first item under the agenda of global. I think we all understand what are the challenges today, even in most recent days, literally in the last couple of days with the situation in Iraq and Iran. But we here also want to extend our hand and show the goodwill to the countries in the region of Croatia, in the Western Balkans, Southeast Europe. That's why literally in this room we will organize a summit in May, just before the Europe Day, that 20 years after the first Zagreb summit will reinforce the European perspective and the dynamics of the future path of our neighbors towards the European Union. We will work together with you on completing the negotiations on the multi-annual financial framework. January will be dedicated to conclusion of Brexit, and we hope that already in February we will have a new negotiating framework for the future relations. The period of transition is short to conclude the agreement, but we will do our utmost to work on it and provide a contribution. Conference on the future of Europe will be a subject over lunch. I think it is a necessary initiative now that the UK will actually finally leave, that we all contemplate and reflect how we can make our European project more efficient and how we can regenerate enthusiasm about its added value to our development and to our citizens. The final remark that I have is that you will, in Croatian government, have a reliable partner. We will work hard with you in trialogues with the European Parliament, notably on the almost 40 legislative pieces of legislation that accompanies the MFF, many of them already in the pipeline. The ministers and their colleagues have been preparing for this exercise and this responsibility throughout our mandate. We are now in the fourth year in the most mature phase, and I think you can count on Croatia. Just as we decided to build this part of the National and University Library, a part of Congress and Conference Center, which will stay here for the purposes of the city of Zagreb, of Croatia, also in the future, as a monument and the legacy of our presidency. I thank you all very much, and I would kindly ask Ursula to make some opening remarks, please.
Thank you very much, Andrej, ministers, vice presidents, commissioners. It's a pleasure to be here, and thank you very much for being so wonderful hosts. We had a splendid evening yesterday in the concert hall and theater with many compositions from all over Europe that showed the richness of European music. And today to be here in the National Library is a very special moment too. I had the opportunity to see an ancient missal when I entered here the library, And I was told it was one of the first ones that was not written in Latin, but in the origins of your language. And I think it's kind of symbolic because this step of having a printed book, it was like 20 or 30 years after Gutenberg, the first printing of a book, is the very first step to transparency, is the very first step to enlightenment, which is both, or are both, the foundation of creating democracies. And sitting here together in this group shows the strength of democracy over time, over centuries and then decades. And thank you very much for receiving us here and showing us the richness of your heritage. Indeed, you mentioned topics we're going to discuss today. This is the first Croatian presidency, but for us it comes at a very crucial moment because it is at the beginning of our mandate. So your success will also define our success. And I've carefully listened again to the priorities we set. I can only say your priorities are also our priorities. Indeed, we will today discuss the broader context of an influential Europe. And you mentioned the topics. We will speak about Brexit. We have to define the room, which includes old friends but new beginnings with our British friends. We will work for the strategy with Africa together with your presidency. We will be preparing the EU-China summit. So this shows already the topics ahead of us. But we will also, as you mentioned, look at our neighbors, immediate neighbors, mainly under the component of enlargement. And here we count on your experience. Croatia is